Welcome to the HR Chat Show, one of the world's most downloaded and shared podcasts designed for HR pros, talent execs, tech enthusiasts, and business leaders. For hundreds more episodes and what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit HRgazette.com.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. Hello, listeners. This is your host today, Bill Banham. And joining me on this episode is Heather Collins, President at Millennium Health and Fitness, a company on a mission to improve the health and well-being of employees around the US and elsewhere. And in this episode, we're going to consider how and why we need to keep the employee wellness agenda at the top table. Heather is a fitness enthusiast and wellness advocate who works with the federal government, military, and others to provide contracted health and wellness promotion services. When not working, you can find Heather exploring and having fun with her husband, two amazing kids, and their dogs.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HR Chat podcast. If you enjoy the audio content we produce, you'll love our articles on the HR Gazette. Learn more at HRgazette.com. And now, back to the show.
Heather, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the HR Chat Show today. Thank you very much for joining me and being my guest.
Good afternoon, Bill. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be here and excited just to dive into our conversation today. And it's just always a pleasure to connect with new audiences and share insights about wellness.
Well, and let's get into it. Firstly, you have a very interesting career background. You've done lots of things. You've worked with lots of different brands and organizations, and you've even worked with the US Navy for a couple of years. Why don't you take a couple of minutes and tell our listeners a bit about yourself?
I am currently the president of Millennium Health and Fitness. We are a wellness and health promotion service provider. As a company, we support worksite wellness programs encompassing both on-site and virtual services. When we deliver a range of programs from fitness center services to health promotion services, as well as wellness and fitness screenings, all of which are customized to our customer. We also are servicing a large customer base within the Department of Defense, which kind of leads back to your original question with my Navy background, kind of how has my career background led into where I am today. So I originally started off in wellness and fitness and in this industry as a sports athlete myself. I played 3 sports during high school, was a Division I college volleyball athlete as well, and kind of really continue to see the need and continue to enjoy being in that wellness and fitness activity realm. And so I pursued my education within exercise science and facility management services. So I started working with the U.S. Navy with a program for enlisted, senior enlisted personnel as well as officers, really showing and showcasing the impact that a wellness program can have on a workforce and a workforce like the U.S. Navy. You can really, really highlight and showcase the impact very, very clearly when leaders tend to engage and work under these programs and see those impacts and see the differences that it can make in their lives. It tends to trickle down into the workforce as well. And for the U.S. Navy, that workforce is those sailors and ensures that mission readiness. I served in that capacity with the U.S. Navy for 2 years as a fitness specialist, and then continued, with the Navy in supporting a facility in Italy, in Sicily actually. And then I actually met my husband, who was recently retired after 28 years in the U.S. Navy, and moved to Washington, D.C. For his next duty station. And that's where I began my career in government contracting, and started working with companies such as Federal Occupational Health, which falls under Health and Human Services, also working with National Cancer Institute, and a large variety of other work agencies within the federal government. that's where it leads me here today to Millennium Health and Fitness, currently as the president.
Okay. Wow. I think is what I say to that. What an impressive background. So, with this cool background in high performing sports, with an understanding of the public and the private sector, how does your experience impact the ways that you run your business today? You've got all these different unique experiences and perspectives. How does that trickle down into what you do?
Within what our company does, so we work, and all of our team members are highly qualified, certified health and fitness professionals, and many of us are either spouses, veteran spouses, we are veterans ourselves, or we actually do have current active duty military spouses, and so a lot of all of our DoD direct work, we have that really, really direct connection with our customer base. Within my other diverse backgrounds and kind of working with athletes and as well as various workforces across the federal government, having that diversity, being able to see, each workforce in their different environments, not just, operationally within an active duty workforce, but also within, an agency that is typically more desk ridden or behind the screens all day and have very little movement or activity in their lives. So I have really seen from a workforce perspective all of those realms, from where they are boots on the ground day in and day out to behind the screens, and really how our programs can impact both of those workforces' lives and really showcase those tangible benefits back to them. I think that's really the key component.
Okay, thank you. So is that your USP? Is that your unique selling point? Is that what distinguishes MHF from others, or is it something else? Is it your sunny personality, for example? Because I'm sold already.
Well, I would like to say the sunny personality would play a little bit into that, but I do think our people, professional team members, our staff distinguishes us far above our competitors, and also our diversified markets that we serve. So we definitely are distinguished above all of our competitors.
So why should health and fitness be a top priority for HR departments then? We'll get into that a bit more later. We'll talk about how employee wellness was obviously number one during those awful couple of years of the pandemic, but is it actually now falling down the agenda? Is it falling down the list of priorities when it gets to those conversations at the top table? We'll get to that later, but just at a higher level, why is it important? Why should health and fitness be a top priority for HR departments?
Well, I think most HR departments, within benefits, there are the traditional, benefits for medical, for EAP, and there is a wellness component that I think is integrated into most HR departments. It's just at what level, the HR departments and the direct leaders determine that the needs are of that workforce. So I think, health and fitness is always going to be in the top tier of potential benefits that an HR department can add. They are, some of those benefits that can be cut, but also they are benefits that can add tremendous support to a workforce. I'd mentioned the tangible benefit, back to the employee. That is a huge benefit, that they see, that they can, really kind of have in front of them to be able to say, the medical benefits, I think most employees, EAP, it's like that's something that will traditionally always happen, but, not all HR departments or companies provide those health and fitness benefits, and or wellness benefits. So
you work with some pretty amazing and impressive organizations, brands that folks will be familiar with. Just briefly, I'm going to challenge you. I like to mix things up sometimes, Heather. I'm going to challenge you in 60 seconds or less to mention a few brands that you work with, a few organizations that you work with that you're particularly proud of the impact that you guys have had.
So we currently support Department of the Air Force. We work with Defense Finance Accounting Services, Defense Health Agency, Defense Contract Management Agency, Missile Defense Agency, and others, serving over 400,000 users.
You emphasize providing customer-tailored health and fitness services, of course. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about how your teams customize services to meet the needs of different workplaces? We've spoken in more general terms so far. You work with lots of cool organizations, but maybe you can hone in and say, for example, if someone is in banking as a sector, how would that be different to something you tailor perhaps for someone who's in the public sector?
Millennium provides really a dynamic approach and solution for all organizations. So we collaborate directly with, if it is the HR representative or leaders within that organization, to collaborate and provide a curtailed program that is, that will meet the needs. So whether that is a fitness direct service, so that could mean if it is a yoga class, a meditation class, or if it's a full brick and mortar fitness center management service. It could also be a curtailed approach for maybe a health promotion initiative or a health promotion program that company would like to see. And those services we provide on-site as well as virtual program delivery options. We have interactive wellness portal opportunities with programs and incentive programs that can be launched, health risk assessments, as well as wellness and fitness health screenings. Those screenings can be really great for identifying those early detection screenings, so cholesterol, glucose, blood pressure, and we also do provide some ergonomic assessments and bone density assessments as well, based on the feedback of the customers. But all kind of packaged into that. It's really based on what the organization is looking for. We will provide individual health fair support. So if you're looking for a health fair for your organization and wanting to highlight certain capabilities, we also do health coaching and health education, kind of preventative health education approaches as well for presentations.
Once in a while, an event series is born that shakes things up, it makes you think differently, and it leaves you inspired. That event is Disrupt HR. The format is 14 speakers, 5 minutes each, and slides rotate every 15 seconds. If you're an HR professional, a CEO, a technologist, or a community leader and you've got something to say about talent, culture, or technology, Disrupt is the place. It's coming soon to a city near you. Learn more at disrupthr.co.
Okay, rock and roll. We are already coming towards the end of this conversation, Heather. A couple more questions for you before we let you go. And I now just want to make sure that folks can learn more about you and connect with you. So first off, you guys have got a network of health and fitness professionals across the US, I understand. How does MHF ensure the consistency and quality of its services when you've got all these people all over the place? How do you guys centralize that? How do you delegate? How do you train folks? How do you ensure that the levels remain very high? Give us that. And again, I'm going to challenge you just because I'm feeling mean. In 90 seconds or less, give us an overview of how you guys keep those consistent high standards.
Of course. So we do, as I had mentioned earlier, we hire certified health and fitness professionals. All certifications and certifying bodies are nationally recognized. Those certifying bodies also have various continuing education credits that are required, and we work with our team members to be able to provide some of those resources to meet those either 1 or 2 year guidelines and regulations. We also train, as you had mentioned, from across, the world. We have contracts in Japan. We also have contracts in Italy, Alaska, all over the United States as well. And we make sure, from our team members when they're hired in, those certifications are from those valid resources, the national standards, and that those are being maintained. And then training is conducted on an annual basis as well to ensure compliance for internally as a company, but also for our contracts.
Okay, thank you. And just finally, how can folks connect with you? And so maybe that's LinkedIn or email or other social medias. How can they learn more about Millennium Health and Fitness?
Yeah, you can check us out at millenniumhealthandfitness.com. You can also follow us on social media, and you can reach us through email as well if you'd like to reach out to me directly. It's hcollins@millenniumhealthandfitness.com.
Okay, well, that just leaves me to say for today, Heather Collins, thank you very much for being my guest on the HR Chat Show.
Thank you, Bill, for having me. Have a great day.
And listeners, as always, until next time, happy working.
Thanks for listening to the HR Chat Show. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and listen to some of the hundreds of episodes published by HR Gazette? And remember, for what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.